Okay, so wanted to talk about these. I don't know if we showed you these before, but these are new gen in a PF 400. So this is Freedom. We were contract growing these that didn't work out. So it's kind of, extra inventory we weren't planning on, but let's see if we could turn it into something positive. So they're really nice looking plants, great price point, something to bring in. This may be something more for spring, right? It may be more suited for the garden center, but maybe they can bring it in for the fall. Somebody looking not maybe to bring in a bunch of threes, well, maybe they can bring in some PF 400s and turn those. So these will be available through the fall, through the spring with no problem. We have them all spaced and we have 10,000 of them that we need to move. So take a look at it. Something that we really don't have in a normal product line. So I wanted to make sure I call it out. So, all right, next is Green Mountain. So this is a little different because this is something people have been begging for. So we're just now getting into another crop. It's up to 24 inch now. We can only move about 250 at this time. They'll continue to flush. Remember, we talked about this. That's a little bit different from a lot of our competitors, especially if they do a bare root process. We don't. So we continue to get flushes and growth throughout the summer and early fall. So I know there is a big demand. Hopefully it's still there. There's 250. And then what are you thinking, Cheryl? A couple more weeks?
I'm thinking a couple more weeks, and I need to get a light shaping on them. I don't know if it's too late in the season, but I think at least another 500 or so in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. So see if you can start with that, and there's more to come. All right, Chemosippus mops. So these are wow factor. So these are the squat pot, the 7-gallon squat or 5-gallon. There's 800 of these that look like that. So that's in a socket right now. So that's how it would look in the ground, right? So great size, flushing, vigorous, really good color, especially from the heat we've been having in the summer we've had. They've performed very well for us, including 2s and 3s. So take a look there. Definitely heading towards the wholesale landscape type market for this time of year, but got 800s, and let's see what we can do. Chameleon grass. So new grass, has a lot of buzz. It didn't take us long to figure out how to grow it, but it is tricky to grow. And kudos to Tim in Columbus, who is our grower in Columbus. He really did a lot of work with this, got it figured out, and we're doing it up here as well. So we're using knowledge that he gained, and we're able to grow a real nice crop. So you can see there, you get pinks and greens and light greens and almost white. And now we're getting the plume that's coming up. It's an open plumer, it's like a see-through plume, but the plume does also have a little bit of color in it, just slightly pink. You got to squint to see the pink, so I wouldn't sell it for that, but it's not your traditional kind of brown seed head. So it's a little different, but we got 500 of them. Really cool plant. I know there's a lot of buzz out there. And the one thing I can tell you is it does not like wet feet. So this is not a plant that you smash in the ground. This is a plant that has to have well-drained soils. So this plant would never be planted with Chrysillamus or Hamlin. It would not survive. Probably one or the other would die. Okay, so it's either too dry for the one or too wet for the other. So you have to treat it a little bit different, almost like a hack and a cloa, So it grows pretty much like a hack and a cloa once you get it going. It's a little more tricky on the front side, but great plant. Growers got it figured out. See what you can do. Hydrangea. So show you a couple arborescents. So you got Invincible Spirit 2 and Mini Mauvette. So Mini Mauvette will ship out like that. No guarantee on how the flower will land, right? We really try not to ship them in flower, but this is what we have at this time. We've been trying to push them out before they opened. There are still some flowers in there that have not opened. So that's the status. The way to really get them out is like Invincible Spirit. You can see there the buds are formed up and they're going to pop here over the next couple of weeks. So that's a great time this next week or two to get them shipped out. But I think we'll do okay, especially if we're rack loading. The Mini Mauvette should land with lots of color. So differences in the leaf, you can see Mini Mauvette is always darker, where Invincible Spirit has that lighter leaf, but it's a ruffled crinkle leaf. So it's got a lot of texture in the leaf, where most of the other arborescents are more smoother. So anyways, some great looking late summer options there. So what do we got, Cheryl? A collage?
Yes, we have a collage. The hydrangea limelight was absolutely stunning right now. Nice and full. If you zoom in a little bit more, you can. There's a measuring stick underneath it. No nice heavy 18-inch plants.
There we go.
Buds starting everywhere. Second one is Firelight. I think that's. I can't see the name.
Yep.
Yeah, Firelight. Loaded with buds. Absolutely gorgeous plants. Look great. The one on the right is 3-gallon Bobo. I believe Steve asked for those last week, and I did roll them on as soon as they were finished flushing. They look great. They're just starting to send out a little bit of buds, so it's hard to see them.
So yeah, what you got to be careful on is we had to roll Bobos off. Those Bobos were in full flower. And the flower was starting to go downhill a little bit, looking a little rough. So we had to go to the split trim, which is this one. But now it's not in flower, right? So you just, sometimes you can't have everything. So these will flower, but it's going to take them a little bit longer. So that's the message. Right now, naturally, Bobo has flowers. So you make sure you communicate that so the person who's getting these isn't upset because it doesn't have a flower on it right now. It will take several weeks before it'll form its flower later, only because of the trimming that we did. But the other ones, the flower was all the way out. Once we get that, the sun beats on that flower a little bit, it just looks off, and we just can't ship that. So that's how these are. So all of these are that way, right? All of these varieties are in full bloom, they should all be in full bloom. They don't have their full color yet in the landscape, but they're all in full bloom. But these are behind because these are all the ones that we trimmed earlier. The ones that had the full flowers, that flower just starts to get little imperfections in the flower. You'll even see it in the landscape. And we just can't really ship that with the quality people are expecting. So it's better to ship it this way. So that's kind of the story there. Chubby Hubby. So this is brand new. This is in the first edition program. It's a Granada, still considered a zone 6. But I pretty much from what I've seen, it can pretty much take the same zone as Sky Pencil. Haven't seen a lot of difference there with it, but Sky Pencil can be a little bit problematic once you go a little bit further north. But this is their introduction here. It's kind of claim to fame is it gets a little fuller at the base than Sky Pencil would. It's still an upright grower, that Hicks eye taxus shape, but it's not going to be as skinny. Like Sky Pencil is always like vase shaped right at the bottom, and it really won't break to fill out. This one here does that a lot better. Probably a little bit slower in its growth habit. So those are the big takeaways. And they also has a little bit glossier leaf, a little shinier leaf. So it's got some of those things, but that's the talking points on this one. It's just going to have better breaks at the bottom. And this would probably lend itself a lot better for a really short hedge if you're making hedges, because sometimes Sky Pencil will kind of have that open bottom, right? It won't fill all the way to the ground, where this one will fill all the way to the ground. So All right, Thunderbolt. So this is honeysuckle. So this ornamental honeysuckle really doesn't flower. It does have a flower, but it's inconspicuous in the fragrance. There really isn't a fragrance there. It's all about the color and the habit. Low, very low grow mounding spreader type. What's incredible about this thing is it's very adaptable. If you put it in a shade environment, you still get some pretty good color. You get better color when it's in full sun, and it's amazing that it doesn't bleach out or burn. It might a little bit, but it really holds its color very, very well. I would say this is a fantastic alternative to a gold barberry. You're not going to get the leaf issues. It's much more adaptable. It's tougher. It's way more winter hardy. You know, it's got a lot of great things going for it. And you can push this up against any of the gold barberries that are out there. It can get a little more aggressive than some of the barberries. So, but it doesn't get tall. It might get a little bit taller than this. It's really more of a spreader. So these are in deco pots, but they're the same price is a standard pot out there. We have 700 of these, so they can use it as a deco pot or just take it out and plant it in the ground. I'm not charging any more money for that deco pot. So if they want to bring them in, talk it up, you know, this might be something that people can snatch up in the fall with some mums out of a garden center, and they can set it on their porch. And like I said, it can handle kind of shady environments really well. So like on even a covered porch or anything, it would do very, very well. So see if we can think outside the box on that one. Junior Giant. So this is an introduction through the Synergy group. You can just see here, we got a couple different sizes. So we got the 7 that's listed as 36, which is pushing past 36. Probably we're going to look at moving this to a 42. Not really looking for more money, just want to make sure that we show a realistic size. And then we have a 3 gallon that's fairly new. We had some ones we were offering earlier this year, but we're getting into a 3 gallon crop here, and you can see there we're well past that 24-inch spec. So you know, great sizing on that, probably pushing over. We'll do a little work here to see if we can get a more realistic size on there, but just know what you got. And there's plenty of availability coming on, so we'll keep pushing those out. Carpet Tiny Wine. This is one that's been around. You can see here it's fairly large, but it still has leaves all the way to the bottom. We have other crops that are split trim that are coming behind these, but what amazes me with this plant is even when it gets larger, how you don't get those bare bottoms in it, which is great. So it keeps the leaves all the way to the bottom. Tiny Wine and Little Devil, they're really not tiny, right? And they're really not little. They're probably maybe half the growth. It might even be a little more. Let's say it's 2/3 the growth of a standard Physocarpa like Summer Wine. But the leaves are smaller. They are more dense. They are more compact, but they can still get fairly large. So that's just something to think about. But these would be great for the re-wholesale center landscape. They get that 2 gallon, and they're really getting a really nice 3 gallon size out of this 2 gallon. So Spirea Glow Girl. This is one we've had around for a little while. It's in the Proven Winners program. You can see there, we're getting a rebloom. It's really hard to see that flower because it's like green, right? When it's closed, those little flower buds. And when it opens, it'll be pure white. Great gold colored, little tiny bit of orange in the tip, but real nice plant. It's usually not a repeat bloomer. The only way you can get a second bloom is to trim it, which we do. So that's going to be a nice plant for late summer here. Typically doesn't bloom, but you know it's going to have a great bloom coming through the fall season. Spirea Gold Mound. This one has been around for a long time. So this is the old standard. You can see there we're getting repeat blooms again. really the only way you can get repeat bloom out of this one is to trim, which we do. You got some real nice clean foliage. Seen a lot of them out there from our competitors that are tired, full of bacterial spot. These here, the growers have done a great job keeping them clean and nice looking. Thuja Jantor. It's a newer one. We found this one on the East Coast. A lot of growers are growing it out there. Seems to do a little better. Doesn't seem to get any type of blighting in it, which some of the gold uprights can do. A little bit better shape to it. There's also another one coming through the Proven Winter program. Fluffy. Yeah. I purposely will never remember that name. So there's one coming through. That'll be ready. I don't know if we'll have any fluffies ready for spring. Maybe. Okay. It's an upright as well. Probably going to go the way of Fluffy, right? Because it's going to have the advertising, all that kind of stuff. But you might have people out there, especially in the re-wholesale sectors, that are familiar with Jantor. It's just new to us. So take a look there. That gives you a nice gold upright. And last but not least, Thuja Schmaragd. So we got 5 gallon, 36 inch. You can see we're pushing past that. So these are squat pots, right? So this is a G5 or /G7 squat. So it's not that little skinny tall one. This is a wide pot, but it's a squat pot. So we offer that as a 36 inch size. And you can see they're really getting bang for their buck, very close to the 48, not quite there. You could possibly call it a 42, right? You can't call it a 48, but if people are a little put off by that 7 gallon price, maybe look at this and tell them they're specking over 36. So that might fill that. All right.